Huawei Pocket 2 has been officially presented with a tremendous camera and also a very good battery. We are talking about the new Huawei foldable in vertical format that still retains a small external display in a round format. But possibly, thanks to this addition of small screen, it may also have a little more battery compared against competitors that have larger external screens. The design is extremely attractive and stylish, with a rococo finish very similar to what we saw on the Huawei P60. Colors specifically are gray, white, purple, and black. The device has a weight of 199 grams and its thickness is 7.35 millimeters. It is also IPX8 certified, which makes it water resistant, just like Samsung's Galaxy Z Flip 5. So Huawei, let's say in this regard, already managed to tie Samsung by offering water resistance in a foldable of this style, even though they have a hinge, and that makes it even more complicated. But speaking of the hinge, Huawei has assured that they are integrating new materials that have up to 20% more hardness than the last generation to give it much more resistance. And it is specifically designed so that in case of a fall, this mechanism is not damaged. The screen is 6.94 inches, and if it has LTPO technology capable of varying its refresh rate from 1 to 120 Hz, and its peak brightness is 2200 nits, so it is a considerably good screen. Its resolution is 2690 by 1136 pixels, reaching a density of 420, so it is a resolution slightly beyond Full HD. On the other hand, the external display is round with 1.15 inches in diameter, so it's a little bit bigger than the external display that was seen on the Huawei P50 Pocket and the Huawei Pocket S. Those displays were 1.05 inches, so now we see a little bit more space, but basically it's still the same experience because you won't be able to do a lot of things from that external display. Fortunately, if you can get to take pictures or use it as a mirror and control music and other things, and pay attention to the photography section, because this foldable integrates Huawei's XMAGE technology, so it's going to have some cameras that really look amazing. The main camera has a 50 megapixel sensor, it has f1.6 aperture, and it has optical stabilization, so it's expected to perform great in various light conditions, even the darkest ones. Then we will find an ultra-wide camera with autofocus, so it also works for macro photography. This camera has a 12 megapixel sensor and the lens aperture is f2.2, and finally the third camera is a telephoto camera with 3x optical zoom and f2.6 aperture. The sensor is 8 megapixels, so in this case it is not so attractive, but it still achieves a maximum 30x digital zoom, and in fact it integrates a fourth camera in that module. But it is not focused on taking photographs, but in making an ultraviolet analysis of your face, very similar to what we had already seen in the Huawei P50 Pocket, with which you can see yourself through that little external screen to analyze if you put the sunscreen well. And on the inside we find the front camera of 10.7 megapixels, much more focused on video calls, because if you want to take selfies, you can perfectly use the external photographic system that will give you much more quality using the viewfinder of the screen. The battery gives us a total of 4520 milliamps, since it is divided into 2 units. But definitely that will be an extremely attractive battery, considering that we are talking about a vertical folding, for example. It is said that the next Galaxy Z Flip 6 from Samsung is going to have a battery of 4000 milliamps, and that has been improving over time, but it would not compare to the tremendous capacity that has the battery of this Huawei device, which also supports fast charging of 66 watts. In addition, also supports wireless charging of 40 watts, which again would far exceed the Samsung foldable, and also has reverse wireless charging of 7.5 watts. These two elements are elements that were absent in a lot of foldables that tried to compete with Samsung, but it seems that Huawei has decided to integrate practically the best of the best. The only thing it would be missing, and which is a very serious absence, would be a larger external display, because in all other things it is an extremely competitive device. It also comes with the new version of Harmony OS 4.0, Huawei's operating system, and a special edition called Huawei Pocket 2 Art has also been announced. In this Art edition, we find an even more attractive design with a back cover with a 3D effect that even generates a shadow. It also comes with Kunlun glass and brings special gifts in a box when you buy it. It also offers two-way satellite connectivity via messaging, although in the photographic section it has exactly the same module as the base model. So in this case, it is not as drastic a change as it was from the Huawei P60 Pro to the Huawei P60 Art. The base edition of the Huawei Pocket 2 has 12 gigabytes of RAM with 256 gigabytes of storage at a price of 7,499 yuan. On screen you see the reference price in other currencies to give you an idea, although remember that prices here are not the same as over there. Obviously there are editions with more storage. In fact, the top edition has a terabyte, and in all editions you can place a Huawei Nano memory card to further increase the capacity.